Hello, my name is Lori Cohen, and I'm the Executive Director and founder of the Beagle Alliance. I just want to take a moment to thank Animal Justice for hosting this conference and for having us speak again this year. Thank you to Caitlin Mitchell, who is moderating, and to my incredible co-presenters. It's an honor. Thank you to the Margulis Foundation for the donation in 2021 that allowed us to begin this journey in Canada. And of course, my thanks to God for giving me the grace to be able to rescue animals and not get bitter or jaded. The Beagle Alliance is the only rescue and advocacy organization in Canada dedicated to animals and research. To date, we've helped place over 60 former research beagles into loving homes. Our mission is to give these animals more years outside of the cage than inside, and to advocate for animal-free science so that all animals can go from lab to love. The vision, of course, is to see the end of animal testing. We believe that our collective love for dogs can spark the change in this country for animals in research. Let's look at the numbers. The most recent statistics coming out of the Canadian Council on Animal Care, the CCAC, in 2022, over 3 million animals used, as is reported. It's a staggering number. We've decided to put the dog's number in red, even though that number is considerably lower in comparison to the other animals used in testing. But that number is in red because that is where the heart is. We believe the end of animal testing in Canada begins with the dogs. We believe they are the gateway to change, which lies within the human and dog relationship. So in the beginning, there was trouble. This little beagle walked into my life over 15 years ago, not by accident, and prompted me to look up what these beagle dogs were all about. That's where I saw the videos, likely the same ones that you have all seen. Dogs in cages, first steps on grass, sometimes harm, sometimes freedom. Fast forward to learning that there were no laws in this country protecting animals, and fast forward again to the creation of the Beagle Alliance. It was my love for this little troublemaker that sparked a change in me and propelled me to then go out and make change. Legally, animals can be harmed in testing, we know that. Even though there are laws against cruelty to animals, it is the exemptions within the laws that allow for this harm. The question is whether our laws, or lack thereof, represent our collective or our majority belief systems. We can also have just laws, but if they're not enforced, they're useless. And then who's accountable? Ethically, we know that not all cultures or belief systems allow for animals to have equal rights. This doesn't necessarily mean that people are lacking in ethics, but how do we reconcile that? And intellectually, we have numbers, we have data, we have graphics, we can debate, but if people can't relate or it's too horrible to look at, if the reality doesn't reach their hearts, then we don't capture their attention. But if we look emotionally and spiritually first, we can get to the heart of the majority. People simply seek unconditional love. And in this physical world and in this culture, they get it from the dogs. Whether it's ethical or not, logical or not, we live in a culture that values dogs above all other animals. They treat them like family, and they even believe that we will see them in the afterlife. No amount of data will ever reach the human heart like that. And the fact or notion that we live in a democracy which supposes that the government represents the majority means that we as advocates need to gain the hearts of the majority. If that majority doesn't know that animal testing happens in Canada, or they don't feel that it affects them, there's no need for the majority to spark legislative or legal change, period. In February of this year, we created a campaign called the Love Letter to Your Dog campaign for Valentine's Day. We wanted to share our love, hear people's stories, and emphasize the collective love for our dogs in this country. But we also wanted to lay a foundation and show the Canadian Council on Animal Care, Health Canada, and the public that dogs can go on to live incredible lives after trauma, even though the laboratories had told us that they were never going to be fit for domestic life. We knew that they could go from lab to love. Karen wrote, "My dearest Bella, The day you came into our lives, I was a little unsure, but I immediately fell in love with you. Those long silky ears and white-tipped waggly tail. She happened to have a beagle. From day one, you brought out the best in everyone you met. I had always struggled with depression. If not for you, my little snugglebug, I wouldn't have had the energy to get myself out the door. 7 years later, the worst was to come. The day I came home to tell you that Daddy had stage 4 cancer and might not be with us for much longer. You didn't leave my side. You sat with me, slept with me, and constantly pressed your sweet little head against mine, as if to say, I've got you, Mom. On Daddy's chemo days, you sat with him too. You were there for every moment of his cancer journey. When the doctors told us Daddy was in remission, it was nothing short of a miracle. You were happy that we were happy, and for the first time ever, we really took stock of the important things in life. And you, my precious Bella, were on the top of the treasure list. Together, we continue to live each day to the fullest. You taught us that. Bella, you have always been and will continue to be one of the biggest blessings in my life. I finally understand what people mean when they say, I didn't save my dog saved me. Having you in our lives has brought nothing but pure joy, love, and a renewed zest for life. But you knew that, didn't you, Bella? I will love you forever, Mummy. XOXO. There is simply no other animal that lives with us or for us and offers this kind of unconditional love. They will look right into our soul and they will see our heart. We look into their eyes and feel the unconditional love of God. They look past every single flaw and they see who we really are without judgment. Many of us don't get that from anyone else. Our human nature is to judge, and the dog will just not judge. They are the dogs that come out of laboratories after being poked and prodded. They will slowly begin to trust the very species that harm them. They'll give us a chance. They will forgive, and they will go on to live life without judgment. This is an irresistible kind of love. This is a kind of love that propels a person to want to make change. In Canada, we're at ground zero. Most Canadians don't know that animal testing happens or that much of animal research fails to translate to humans. Even though as advocates we may find this upsetting or offensive, the majority of people are not inspired by the fact that millions of mice or fish are killed each year in science. We believe it's because we as advocates have placed our attention on what the majority is doing wrong or not doing at all, instead of taking the opportunity to unite and emphasize what's important to them and what we all have in common. And in our culture, it's the dogs. As advocates, we sometimes choose to fight against instead of fighting for. Most of you have seen this statement come up on your social media feed. If you love animals, you won't eat them, or something similar to this. I'm not here to judge whether you believe this statement or not. It's certainly very provocative. I'm here to say that as humans, we are far more complex than this. We are all contradictory beings. It's just not that black and white for most people. First off, this statement fights against, not for. Collectively in our culture, we value dogs more than most other animals, and sometimes even other humans. Maybe it's not right or ethical, but there's truth in it. This is why we're outraged by the dog meat trade in China, while at the same time don't flinch at a trailer carrying live chickens. And when I say we, I mean most. We hear the information about animals harmed in food production. We hear about the thousands of animals harmed to create the latest vaccines. We could debate what's right or wrong. We can go back and forth on what's ethical or moral without even touching on what's legal, because we all know that what's legal does not always mean just. However, this not only creates division, it stops progress, because when the kingdom divides itself, nothing changes. No matter how many facts we throw at people, if that information does not drop down from the head knowledge and into the heart, the majority will not feel compelled to fight for it. We need to go directly to the hearts of people to make change. And in this culture, the over 10,000 dogs used in testing scream louder than the millions of any other animal. And those dogs lie in the hearts of millions of people in this country. We are in love with our dogs. Let's use dogs as a mirror for a moment and look to them to see what is possible for us. We spend so much time and energy on our dogs. People even say we start to look like our dogs. Sometimes I think we need to start acting a little bit more like the dogs to affect greater change. When the dogs we rescue come out of the lab, they're very scared, and yet they gingerly approach us. They sniff us, they lick, they allow us to touch them. They eventually become open to living with us, forgiving the very species who brought them such misery. When we raise our voices or have a bad day, they still love us and give us another chance to love them. Our behavior never takes away from who we are to our dogs. They simply believe we are good and treat us as such. To spark change and spread awareness about animal testing in Canada, maybe we need to start acting like the very animals this country is so in love with. Dogs offer unconditional love and look into our hearts and nod at our behavior. When we don't like how our dogs behave, we correct them with gentleness and kindness, with patience, trusting the process, believing in them, and knowing they can learn and change. As advocates, we need to walk the line, make people uncomfortable enough that they want to act, yet not enough that they stop listening. It can be a very subtle and simple yet profound shift. The majority loves dogs, and we need the majority to impact change and change laws. Let's look at the dog lover. We tattoo their names on our bodies. We have portraits made of them. We send family greeting cards that include them. We take baby photos with them. We take them to doggy daycare. We spend thousands and thousands of dollars on food and veterinary care. We buy them an unbelievable number of toys and treats. We dress them up for Halloween. We plan their meals and around their schedules. We rush home after work. We're constantly concerned with their emotional well-being. They are our family. We grieve their loss, sometimes more than anyone else. We can truly be ourselves with them. They make us better and happier. This is the power of our love for dogs. Imagine harnessing that power for change. Unity plus community equals opportunity. This is the tagline at the bottom of our website. It's on every single news blast that we send out. We humans are the stewards of the animals, and if we fight amongst each other, if we become a divided kingdom, we will never come together for the animals and never be the majority. When we focus on fighting against people, we run right into their belief systems about food, about environment, about medicine, and then we lose them. Shaming sends people packing. This includes the laboratories and the research facilities as well. We need to find common ground and collaborate, offering alternatives, being open-minded, being kind, and allowing for the process within people and systems keeps the doors open. We have all been witness to what divisiveness looks like, how it spreads among people. Over the last few years, it was not the law or ethics that forced people to act a certain way. It was the power of suggestion. They acted out of fear. We as humans act out of two emotions, fear and love, and shame falls under fear. If we foster unity instead of divisiveness, we find common ground in our community and plant seeds that bring us together. We will then be gifting ourselves the greatest opportunity to fight for the animals. This is acting out of love. Most of the people who apply to foster a dog with us just want a Beagle and they want to rescue a dog. But the moment they apply, we are given the opportunity to talk about animals in research, about cruelty-free, and about animal-free science. And then we let the process begin, a process that would not have begun if not for the love of dogs. Again, with our Love Letter campaign, we spoke at a school in my hometown in Manitoba, and we asked the kids to write love letters to their dogs. We received dozens of love letters and even spoke to the class about animal testing. We just had to speak to the facts. We told them that the dogs were being harmed in research and that they didn't have to be because there was new technology. It was food for thought. And for us, we were speaking to the future lawmakers, teachers, scientists, advocates, and consumers. Aria wrote, "Dear Duke, thank you for being a big part of my life. With you gone, it's like I'm nowhere and everything fell apart. But if you were here, everything would be normal. I talk to you every time I'm in the car. I wish you were down here with me. I cry because you listened to my decisions. You cuddled me when I needed it. The cat doesn't do any of that. He's just evil like always, but he misses you a lot too. You're a big piece of my heart. I miss you a lot, and Dad, holy, does he miss you too. So does the whole family. You were really cuddly. You were a little puppy 10 years ago. What happened? It's my birthday soon. It's going to be so different without you. I'm going to cry so hard on mine and your birthday. I wish I could see you one last time, Duke. I love you. Love, Aria." The love for their dogs sparked their curiosity and their desire to know what we were doing. The letter and the spirit of the law are supposed to reflect the values of our society, our collective ethics. The MPs, our government, in a democracy, are supposed to represent the constituents. There are 7.9 million dogs living in homes across all of Canada. You know who these people are? They're the constituents. We can say that most of these constituents don't know that animal testing takes place, and if they do, they simply do not resonate with the fact that over 3 million animals are used or that over 1 million fish are killed. It's too unrelatable and too overwhelming. Most people drive by protesters and get annoyed, shut down when graphic photos of harm are displayed. Yes, as advocates, there's a time and place to lift the veil, but again, we walk a thin line, and for most there's a repel and a literal shutdown. But when we see the beagles released from testing, walking on the grass for the first time, playing with a toy, we're attracted. We share it with friends. We talk about it. We want to be a part of it. We know what it's like to have a dog, and we simply desire in that moment to rescue them all. And as unethical and even illogical as it is to think that there are millions of animals used in testing per year, it is the 0.03% of dogs that can spark the change, because no dog person can fathom or tolerate harm coming to a dog. Animal advocates are not the majority. Animal lovers are the majority, and dog lovers are a unique breed of animal lover. They raise their dogs to the level of best friend and of child. Conferences like this are amazing for us. We get to speak and listen to our peers, our colleagues, people we admire and respect. It's like coming home. However, we're preaching to the choir. As advocates, we must leave this conference refreshed and inspired and go out there and speak to the majority. Our hearts move us to change. The dogs don't just lie in our beds or on our laps. They lie in the collective heart of this country. When I spoke with my MP, he offered me a 15-minute time slot and told me that if I weren't his constituent, he would have not met with me. In the end, we made it to 45 minutes, and he was showing me pictures of his dogs. Every dog parent loves to hear how adorable their dog is. So what do? We go out there, and the next time we see someone walking their dog, we walk up to them and we say, "Oh my gosh, your dog is so adorable. You know what I just found out? I found out that 10,000 dogs are used in animal testing in Canada. Did you know that?" For the most part, they're going to say that they didn't. So then you're going to say, "Yeah, I heard it was mostly beagles, but still 10,000. Can you believe it?" Then you're going to kindly send them to the Beagle Alliance website, preferably the donate page. But hey, you've got them. The facts are in their head, and they feel it in their heart. And who knows what they're going to do next with this information? Who knows who they're going to share it with? But they can't unknow what they now know. So you keep walking until you meet the next human and their dog. Because I fundamentally believe, we believe, that the end of animal testing begins with the dogs. Thank you.